How's it going, everybody? Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and welcome to your weekend astrology forecast for the weekend of December 24th and the 25th of 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all very much. Hope you have a great holiday weekend. Hope everybody gets to be with family and do so much of the things that do make them feel good, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, that, there's a gratitude and sort of a christening of this new story, if you will, if you want to call it that. But wishing you all the best and Merry Christmas, of course, to the ones that do celebrate. Let's take a look at the astrology for this weekend. Saturday, we are going to see the sun at 2 and 3 degrees. Definitely kind of opening things up on this, destiny, on the big accomplishments, where we're going, the responsibilities that we want to take on, the certain traditions that we do want to create for ourselves. And, it's interesting having a holiday weekend. It'll definitely a societal tradition, right? So seeing where we stand maybe personally on this, tradition and what it means to us, but also I think that the relationships are such a big deal. We're going to see the moon midday at 22 degrees, but it will start the day with Venus. It'll cross over Mercury and it will cross over Pluto. So very heavily aspected moon as it comes off the new moon. Still dark because it's not 30 degrees away from the sun, so we don't get to see that waxing crescent at sunset yet, but we're getting there. And we have to feel into a lot of our relationships, to what we value, to the people in our lives. I think that it is one of those weekends, especially Saturday, where Christmas Eve, we could want to really express ourselves. Or we can have a lot to express because it is Capricorn and it is a detriment moon. And there's a suppression element to Saturn and Capricorn that we are also wanting to say so much or wanting to express our true feelings about the values of life, and that we're not for some reason. So it could go either way. There could be a lot of really planned out, almost imaginative conversation, especially with Neptune at 22 degrees. And we're going to see Mercury in that sextile with the moon, and even Venus is heading over to that, and Juno, Jupiter's wife, is going to conjunct with Neptune over the next couple days too. So, I mean, we're in such an interesting place where we can really be seeing how destiny is getting expanded and how there's really no boundaries except the boundaries in life that we set on ourselves. So it's almost like if there's something that really needs to be said, especially with the moon meeting with Pluto in the evening, we're going to feel an immense pressure that it's important to say these things. And I think that it is. And especially the conversations that are building dreams. That's something that I think is very important. Mercury is slowing down for its retrograde on the 29th. Venus is going to be pacing that Mercury here for the rest of December and making the conjunction on New Year's. So there are, I think, important conversations, important understandings about our relationships, about our values, and of course with this thing keeps going to eraser. And of course Mars retrograde in Gemini, and Mercury being the dispositor of that. Big deal when that retrograde hits, but there is so much of the identification of the understanding about our lives and where we're going and what these bigger things and ideals sort of are and what the steps are to get into place. And I think that it's one of those weekends, especially Saturday, where it's there's so much magic and beauty in the world. As long as we can feel that within, we can create that without. So however conversations or however things go, or it's almost even like Mercury does rule cars, right? And Mars retrograde in Gemini, that has weird car energy. Capricorn energy can be blocks or it takes time. If you're commuting Saturday, don't expect to get places fast. Don't let it take you out of your comfort zone. Don't get too worked up at the same time. It's just a day to kind of remember that we can take it slow. We're going to get to where we're going. There's a divine order to things it's so far out of our control. We don't need to also try and force control into our life for situations. If we're late, we're late. Maybe we're late for a reason. So just keep these things in mind. And it is such a big travel day. I want to bring that up with that energy because we are also seeing the Ceci quadrant from Venus to Mars. So, definitely kind of weird here coming into a Mercury retrograde and a Mars retrograde at the same time with Mars in the ruling sign. Well, Mercury rules Gemini, but the ruling planet of Gemini. So there is, though, Venus at 18, which is in a biquintile, which is 144 degrees from Mars. And we're also seeing the quintile from Mars to Jupiter that's building up. And then there's a little bit of like a quintile triangle kind of here to the Capricorn energy. So there is so much here about, I think, being open to building the new sort of traditions in life, the re-understanding, and to be able to be adaptable and make adjustments if needed to go on that journey and to make these things happen. Moon Pluto, definitely a lot, can be felt, but I think it can be a lot of good things if we position ourselves right just within ourselves, because I would say that Moon Pluto, especially after the moon is so active with Venus and with Mercury here, that we can't like hide from our feelings. Like they're going to get exposed, which can bring a lot of revival, even though maybe in the evening it can almost feel like it just feels like everything's kind of an emotional breakdown. We want to avoid the breakdown by seeing that there's so much revival energy, and there are new starts that are getting ready to really, identify themselves. Be okay with that, and you'll probably be just fine. Of course, Venus is done with its trine now over to Uranus and Taurus. So I think that we have seen the higher ground, or the higher grounded position in our lives of different ways to move about, to create, to relate, and that there is an accelerated force that is showing us what really is the tradition and the value in our lives. And it's based more around a soul connection, positive, soul relationships, and maybe not as much about maybe the physical thing, because Uranus and Taurus is definitely, it kind of shows us what of physicality really doesn't have value in its weird, unique ways of showing us that. And I would say that there's so many good aspects to Neptune that why not at this point? Because Neptune's been ruining our lives in square to Mars, right? Remember that a couple months ago? So now we're in a better place with this Neptune, and why not, really feel the beautiful things and feel the unconditional love, the appreciation, but also knowing that, it's up to you to build a tradition of that in your life as well. So. And of course, Jupiter is still in that semi-square, 45 degrees, over to Uranus. And, well, I think it's definitely trying to have us make different twists, trying to show us again that physical value is changing, and so is the story. And I think the more we can come to that truth and be able to see that we can be larger than life in what we're trying to do, if we believe that within ourselves and can see the ideal and the vision within, and that the universe does have this great plan, that no matter what society does or no matter what shows up in the world, it's not going to ruin your weekend, because you're with divine connections and, beautiful energy in your life. So that's Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, we do have a sun at 3 coming to 4 degrees. So, I think it is trying to expand where we do limit ourselves and then kind of come into like the shakeup. Christmas Day is kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. It has this, especially with the moon in Aquarius, sort of rebellious energy. And even with the sun coming to 4, that's very, rebellious in a sense too. 4 is very Uranian to me. So quite interesting. They do separate 30 degrees from the new moon, and it's almost like there is a breaking of tradition in some way. It's almost like Christmas doesn't go exactly as it always has for whatever reason. There's something mixing things up, and it could be bringing new people into the Christmas experience. It could be doing just something you've never done before on Christmas. It is quite interesting, but I think that it's showing you that tradition's changing, and that you're creating a new structure, and that the structure that we know is changing. So it's obvious that why would ours be exactly the same, right? So maybe not. Maybe people do the exact same thing they do every Christmas, but I do feel like this has an interesting vibe to it, where it's almost like, never done this on Christmas before. I did not plan this out, but I got Lauren and I for Christmas season tickets to Six Flags Magic Mountain. So on Christmas Day, we're going to Six Flags and we're going to go ride roller coasters. I've never done that before. I did not plan it out with the astrology. I just did it because we were just chilling and I didn't go up to see Sterling and my family, and it was just us. So I was like, well, gosh, like it's just us. Like, why don't we do something fun? So very interesting. And I feel like as I kind of look around even at people in my life, I'm like, oh, wow. And I did not plan this out. I just looked at the chart and started talking to you like I do every time I turn this on. But I would bet that a lot of people are definitely doing something for Christmas that they probably have never done before. There's some tweak to it. So quite interesting. We are seeing Juno and Neptune conjunct at 22 degrees. That's going to be over the next couple days here. But I think that that's very prominent, and especially with Venus at 19 degrees, getting ready to come to 20 this weekend on Christmas. Also, in that sextile, and of course, Mercury coming off that sextile, there. It's so funny. Like this could be such a like magic weekend, a magical weekend. This could be so much, very divine union, very, very special. It's like the people in your life for this Christmas are definitely there for purpose. Whatever that may mean, there is purpose there, and you want to keep following where the magic's at, and you really do want to see the magic, and I think use your imagination and use your intuition to really guide you to the beauty that can be there this weekend. It is interesting, right? It's just so much Capricorn, so much Aquarius in the chart this weekend, with the moon coming into Aquarius with Saturn, all this Saturn ruled energy. Like there's what, the sun, Venus, Mercury, Pluto, the moon, and Saturn. Six, planetary bodies here in Saturn ruled energy. Um, but there's so many good aspects to Neptune, and I think that it is dissolving certain structure in our life, and showing us that we don't have to suppress things, that we can structure ourselves and our life in ways that is unbound. And that's the beautiful part of maybe connecting to consciousness within ourselves, or connecting to higher ideals and the oneness and the universe, and the spiritual truths that feel it doesn't have to make, I guess, analytical sense. It's such a feeling, and I think that that's very special. We can feel that in some way this weekend. So I'm into that. I'm into it. I think it's great. And the moon will also, by Christmas night, Christmas evening, square its nodes. So it is, came off the south node. So what does that mean? We talked about that with Jupiter. That means that it's coming back up. It's at they call it the southern turn. So we're heading back up there's a lot going up right now. So it's definitely important, I think, to feel like things are coming up, to disconnect from the idea that nothing will, get better, or that it's just always upheaval, or nothing went my way and I don't feel like I have any control and everything's out to get me. I think that, there is something about the full connection to I am a creator. I am here to build my life in abundance, and I'm here to do that from the inside to the outside, and to be with people that light up that energy within myself. Chiron and the moon will make a great aspect with a sextile. Chiron's now direct. I actually went direct for the new moon. I spaced on that in the horoscope, so I do apologize for that. Chiron always is like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in my Chiron square, and I have been for a while, and it's in my 12th. There's something about like the Chiron stations that I know it's coming, and I just always am like, eh. And I do think Chiron's extremely important, so just kind of funny how that works. So I do apologize. Chiron's now direct, and the moon's going to sextile it. And, the sun will be over there for the square in a week's time, but it's not there yet. So this is about realizing all the work we have put into ourselves, realizing how strong we are, how connected we can be to the right energy, the right people, our own ideals, our own innovative ways, doing it from a unique perspective. And I think owning the confidence within our uniqueness is so important. And however that shows up, it's almost like this could be such a unique Christmas that it just could feel so good. like, wow, like that was a unique Christmas. And I'm just, there can be a lot of, really good connective energy and just feeling a strong sense of it didn't have to be ordinary because it was the people and it was the actual energy that made all the difference, not the physicality of the situation. So, yeah, yeah. I believe that's pretty much all I want to say for this weekend. So, that's all I'm going to say this weekend. I hope you have a great holiday weekend, beautiful Christmas, whether you celebrate or not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see what the cards are. Got the Eight of Wands, the Eight Arrows of Love. It's the quickness, I think. Things actually can move fast. I think, especially when they're a little different, especially when your heart's really into it, instead of just doing things by the books. I feel like there is this sort of need to do it a little bit differently. And maybe it's the stuff that's different that lets us move at a pace that we want to, maybe a faster pace, or maybe it's also just like the things that you love, you're moving and being attracted and magnetized towards in such a powerful way that, those things are manifesting quick. And they can feel really good, bring a lot of abundance into our lives as well. The Hanged Man reversed. This is the Neptune card reversed, of course, but hey, his head's up on this one and definitely very enlightened with the rays coming out. So it's almost like instead of just constantly searching, whether inwardly or outwardly, for this higher perspective of life and the insight, it's kind of like ready to just let's come out and show, the people in our lives what we're doing. Let's kind of show the universe that we're taking this higher level of our own character and we're making decisions based on it, and we're not just sitting around. That we are doing. It's like we're really showing up in whatever way. I know it's a holiday. I know it's Capricorn. People are like, I gotta work, but the work is always something different, right? So I think that this is more about coming out with the spiritual work that you've been doing and, projecting that into your environment, into your relationships, and bringing that unconditional aspect out instead of, maybe hanging out, just spending all Christmas just meditating. I think it's such a positive Christmas to be around good energy. So it's like, go share your higher perspectives with people, and you might connect very quickly with energy or people when you do. Judgment reversed. Hmm. I mean, I would suppose like the first thing that came to my mind was that it's like a test on the judgment of that sort of deeper spiritual character that I mentioned with the Hanged Man, that we have to step up to the plate for that, and show the world, show our environment, just whatever we're doing, show ourselves that whatever we're responding to is a response and a decision from a much deeper, connected space, and that's changing the course, and that's showing the progression and the evolution and the story in our lives. And why'd we get the Judgment reversed? That was very interesting. Wow, three lovers reversed. It's a sexy lovers card, though. Hmm. I don't. and, and the Seven of Wands. Hmm. I suppose we don't want to get overly romanticized about certain things, or it's almost like we can feel like people don't love us if they don't show up in some the way we judge them to be, or the projection of how we thought they'd be, or we didn't get the right gift, and we're almost getting defensive, that people didn't show up the way we would have showed up for them. But I think that, again, that comes back to this higher sort of place within our souls here. It's not exactly about well, I shouldn't even say exactly. It's not about the physical. It's just about the love. And if we can turn things around and just get back to the love of life, the love of connection, the love of people and ourselves, of course, that there's no need to be defensive or to, get upset over something that is so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. There's like the evolution of value that's taking place. I'll be honest, it took me a second to get that download from these cards because I was not expecting those major arcana cards. I mean, not that I expect to draw a card, but like, anyways, I love you all very much. Have a beautiful, beautiful holiday weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday. Much love. Peace.